right, thank you, everybody. So remember our new tagline: think massive, be massive, and take massive action. All right, that's going to be our tagline for 2024. We're super excited. For those of you that don't know, this is the new build retail on the screen here. It's going to start construction next month. It's only 20 minutes from my house, so I'm going to be very excited to go watch that one get built. As you all know, we're live on Facebook, so smile, keep your teeth brushed, all those good things that we're doing. We appreciate everybody joining. Oh, sorry. So this is an educational series. We do the best to present information that we think is accurate, true. We are not accountants. We are not lawyers. We are not anything to do with professionals. But tonight we do have a professional with us. So Zach is going to be talking later on and taking questions from the audience about how to use your retirement funds in a self-directed. Again, you should always seek your own legal and financial advice. So, oh boy, I'm going fast tonight. So tonight we're going to talk a little bit about why Massive Capital, the Massive Capital Mastermind, investing in, oh, we got the wrong topics here. So this is about using your IRAs and retirement funds. Wow, I didn't update that slide. So sorry, folks. So Massive Capital, we're a vertically integrated real estate company. We specialize in ground up construction, retail, flex space, industrial, and mixed storage use multifamily. We are an owner operator of value add multifamily, and we're partnered with Realty One, who has 40 years experience. We have 2 years experience in Massive Capital. Today, LinkedIn reminded me it's officially 1 year that I've been with Massive Capital. I kind of was with them for a little longer than that, but I didn't officially put it on LinkedIn and all of the titles. And I got to tell you, it has been an amazing year. So for those of you that have watched our journey, we are super excited about all the things that are happening. So on the left-hand side, you see about Massive Capital. We're involved in equity, brokerage, and that's on the triple net lease. So that's more on retail, office, storage. It is not on multifamily. Same with property management. We do development, construction, both metal and wood. And we're super excited about our education program. We keep growing every week. We get some new students that are joining our program. We're super excited about that. Our goal is for people to be able to get a path to becoming a GP or a sponsor on a deal, or to be educated on capital raising. So we are very Texas heavy on the assets that we own and operate, but we also have 2 properties in Denver, Colorado, 2 properties in North Carolina, and 2 properties in Georgia. So if you look across, Realty One has about 290 million in assets. They have about 5,000 square feet and about 2,500 retail centers. It's a little different type of facility. Massive Capital itself, I actually think, Mike, this slide needs to get updated because we got some pretty exciting news on adding 204 doors to our portfolio. Very excited about that, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But Massive Capital, and we also have the X Space, for those of you that know that we're building that. We do have 1 land development project in Georgetown. Very exciting things happening.
Yeah, Trevor, good point. We do need to update that slide. So.
Yeah. So the team behind the team. So across the top are people that you would deal with more on a regular basis. Myself, Jasmine, Maria, Candace, Aska, Jonathan, Brenda. Linda's still in the witness protection program. And then we come down here, and these are all of the folks that are with Realty One. Bhaskar is our finance, Bindi is finance, and Ellen is on acquisitions. So we have everything from real estate directors, leasing agents, construction project managers. We manage and operate all of our build properties through Realty One. So they have all of the principles that are needed for that. We go back to the main principal team. Shirar is actually at a conference out in San Diego right now. I was pretty impressed. He got on our call at 8 a.m., which was 6 a.m. there. I don't think that man sleeps ever. And then Sanjay just spent a couple of days in San Antonio. taking over our asset there. We have Mike tonight, who's going to be my co-presenter, and then Bo at the top, Pat and Alexis. They are from the Realty One team. And so together, these 6 principals are helping us manage everything to do. So for those of you that don't know yet, we have our 3rd virtual conference coming up on February the 16th. Get your little scanners out and you can scan that. I think Brenda, you're going to put in the chat the coupon codes, right? And if not, I'll put them in later. So we have a couple of coupon codes that you can use for being able to get a discount. If we don't get them in the chat right away, we will. So this is an all-day event. You have the option to be able to do it free. So we're going to give you a discount code that would give you free to general admission. But I highly recommend you upgrade to the VIP package. And we're going to give you $100 off the VIP package. And it gives you a little bit more in the networking room. It gives you all the things that you need. Plus, it gives you a copy of all the recordings. So this is a full day. And this one, we bring a lot of presenters and talk about a lot of topics. This is something that you definitely don't want to miss. In one day, you're going to learn as much as you could in several months of being able to do things, looking around at different ways. So a little bit, I'm going to start at the bottom here. So the land acquisition development that we have in Austin, Texas, we're actually Monday filing for some of our permits and exemptions. Amberwood Apartments in Dallas, Warner Robins in Georgia. This is 2 properties. X-Space in Houston. One of our properties we closed in Denver, our 2nd one. We have a retail development in Conroe, just outside of Houston. We have a new development in Katy, Texas. This one is going to be a little more on the industrial side, something that we'll be doing for the first time together with Realty One. We've done it other times and they have as well. We have value add in North Carolina. We have another 10 acres in Houston. We have this triple net retail that I talked about at the beginning. We have a new construction finalizing the PSA in Houston, and we have 2 LOIs pending in Dallas. And the big news is, look at there is the owner of Horizon Apartments handing Sanjay the keys. So we are officially closed, but I want to make sure that you don't panic. You still have room to get into this deal. All right, we closed and the partners have financed some of the closing that's happened. And so you will have an opportunity still to invest. So again, time is of the essence because this is going to be a great couple of things I'd like to make sure that people understand about this particular property. One of the things about investing after the deal is closed, your money does go to work day one. So if your money's been waiting for us to close, it really hasn't gone to work yet. It's still waiting to go to work. Number 2, this asset is cash flow positive day one. While we do hold some distributions at the very beginning, just to make sure that we don't have any surprises, anything happen, this particular property is cash flowing day one. We were able to assume a loan for those that don't know about it at 3.78. We got a supplemental loan on top of this at about 6.5%. So our blended rate is about 4.75% fixed rate debt. Okay, so this is very important in today's economy. I think Mike was going to pop up a survey asking if people are interested in joining us on this deal. Just makes it easier for us to reach out to you. There you go. And so if you could answer the questions on the survey for Horizon. So it's 204 apartments in San Antonio. I'm super excited about it. Ask anyone on our team. We'd be happy to give you some more information about this particular opportunity. All right, so I'm going to turn it over to my friend Mike, who's going to talk a little bit about solo versus team and how you could partner with Massive Capital.
Hey, Trevor, thank you. Awesome. And congratulations on your 1 year. You survived with us for a year. It's it has been a great year, and some of that is as well very challenging, especially, to new people joining in. And sometimes the way we operate is a little bit fast and furious, sometimes a little messy and chaotic, but it's all in a direction and intention of growth and change and improvement. Um, so Trevor, you went to your
Oh, sorry, did it go away now? Are we back?
yeah, yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. No, it's good. Uh, so yeah, solo versus team, and that really the whole my discussion just a second ago really ties into some of that solo versus team approach, right? And it's multifamily, commercial real estate more than anything else. Is definitely very much a team sport, teamwork, and and it's an interesting because it gives a lot of opportunity. Like people can go by a business, a multifamily business. Basically, it's if you buy an apartment, it's you're buying a business, and uh, once you realize that, it's kind of like it's kind of cool because you can go buy your business, which you wouldn't, necessarily be able to do, of other types of businesses that are out there, and you get a lot of help and support to run that business more so than you would, if you were starting a travel agents maybe or your tech company or something else, right? So it is very much a team sport, and we do a lot of things to partner with others to make that more valuable for the partner and us as we go through the process. So I love Trevor's solo versus team here, and it's pretty exciting. I can if I can do some of the stuff on my own, but it's usually twice as hard usually and a lot more work than if I just go with it as a team. So all right, Trevor, is there next just want to share one slide. Yeah, so one of the things is and we'll go back to the Trevor's PowerPoint there, but we have a program, and what we focus on that is the pathway. Like what is it that puts somebody in the path of the kind of the least resistance, the most accelerated process way to get there. And we've come up with what we've learned of doing it ourselves, doing it with others that come along to us, others that have struggled to get into their first deal, and what is and then also not just to get the first deal, but how do they multiply that, over 2, 3, 4, 5 deals, a year. So we do have come up with a program and really the pathway uh, to GP 90-day roadmap, which goes through a number of tests and the kind of process of working through that, from getting your PFS or CRO together, underwriting, number one thing of CRM and your website going, uh, family office certification of capital raising. So we have a lot of things in here that we walk everybody through. We take them through this, go through the progression, and then you get into your side of it. Am I in investor relation, capital raising, fund to funds, or am I deal finder, acquisition specialist, contract to close, or do I end up in asset management and finance specialist? So this is a key part, integral to our program. And I'll turn it back to you, Trevor. I just want to show that as you go back to the one page that you had there. I don't want to belabor this anymore, so we can get into the IRA discussion. But if you're interested in learning more about that, uh, you can scan this QR code. Just sign up for a call with me or Alex tonight, and Alex and I'll you know get in, talk to you, see what is the driver for you, what are you looking for, and how can we help people down that path. We can even do a breakout session at the end of tonight's call if people are interested. So that's thank you, Trevor. That was all I had on that one. And now I'm going to do the quick intro here, and then I'll turn it back to you, Trevor. So,
Perfect.
again, how utilizing your 401k and IRA funds for real estate investments. And so I think about like, how can I property with my 401k or my IRA, which is like something I never thought about 5 years ago. And as I learned more and got into it, it's just a lack of me being in the right circles, looking for the right information and getting the right education, and then having specialists that I could reach out to, such as Zach on here tonight, as great resources for that. So it is a great opportunity if none of you have done it. And even if you have, sharing it with your friends, your family, others, just it's a cool option. And we'll have this recording for you after the call tonight. Go ahead, Mr. Thompson.
All right.
Yeah, go ahead, sir. Go ahead, Trevor.
So obviously, a lot of you folks are here because you understand why invest in real estate. But I want to talk a little bit more about why using your retirement funds for real estate investing. For those of you that know anything about that space of a traditional 401k that you have at work, I have discovered that they are the highest fee structured programs. The reason your employer won't let you take your money out of them are lots of reasons why. And we all understand the power of being able to invest in real estate and the security that you get from being able to invest in real estate. So clearly on the far left, you received cash flow from real estate, right? So real estate produces cash flow, people pay the rents and the excess, and you get distributions on your investment. One of the more powerful things about real estate is the long-term appreciation. Real estate goes up in value over time. And for those of you that are coming from the single family space to the commercial space, it's even more exciting because you can only make a house as valuable as the comps in the neighborhood. But on multifamily or buying commercial assets, it's completely different. So what happens is when you're buying those, you're actually buying a business, and the operators of the business put their practices to improve the net operating income. And then the net operating income times the cap rate gives you your appreciated value. So every dollar in new income gets magnified into this appreciation. Clearly, we know about leverage. So leverage is very powerful when you're buying real estate. Again, when I mentioned our deal at Horizon Apartments, we have a blended rate of a 4.75 interest rate. So that allows us to be able to pay the 18% internal rate of return that you're going to get on the real estate. And we'll talk a little bit later. There are some complications a little bit on the real estate side with your 401k. And we didn't want to put a slide on that because it would come out and everybody's situation is different. But there are some times where you could also get a tax within it because of the leverage. But there are ways to offset that with your depreciation and some other things. Clearly, you can diversify. So again, when you're investing in commercial real estate, you're not just playing the stock market where everybody else's money is and everything happens and somebody invades one country and the stock market goes down or different things. So you can invest in different areas. So you can invest in different states, different cities, different neighborhoods. You can invest in different asset classes. So all the things that you can do with your cash, you can also do through your retirement funds. And then retirement funds do have the added benefit that you are already investing in a tax-free environment. And later when we're doing the Q&A, we'll talk a little bit about the differences of the types of plan, because there are some Roth where the money actually grows quite a bit quicker because there is no other tax implications. But I wanted to save a lot of those presentations for when we get some time with Zach. And for those of you that don't know, I actually currently have 6 investments through my self-directed IRA. I manage them quite well and be able to keep my money deployed. Keeping your money deployed is very important. Zach, if you want to, how much money do you guys have sitting there doing nothing? It's staggering.
I think right now we've seen a bit of a decrease just with, people kind of pulling their funds back, but I think we're sitting right around the $350 million mark.
Yeah, so think about that. $350 million is sitting in mattresses almost, right? Because it's just sitting in their account. It's not deployed. It's not getting the benefits of the tax deferred growth. There are so many things that you can get when you're taking that money. So just like leaving cash in the bank goes backwards, leaving cash in your retirement plan goes backwards, especially if it's already in a self-directed environment. So again, it's super, super powerful way to do it. So just a little bit quick one here. Step one, you've got to know your plans rules. So if you have a current employer, very difficult to get the money out. Most of this happens when you've switched employers and you have some money that is no longer held by your employer. I mean, you're obviously going to choose self-directed IRA, 401k based on your personal. You're going to identify real estate investment options. You're obviously going to conduct thorough research on everything. And then the final step is consult with a professional. Well, tonight we brought you a professional. So here he is in living color. So tonight we're going to do things a little bit different, that we're going to try to do a little more Q&A. If you guys don't ask questions, Mike and I are going to keep asking questions. But remember, this webinar is provided for you to be able to learn and to be able to grow and figure out how you can in turn take your money that's in a self-directed, or not even in a self-directed IRA, in anything, and be able to put that money to work. So Zach, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So, thank you guys for having me out here. My name is Zach Wilson. I'm one of the senior IRA specialists with Quest Trust Company. So we're a self-directed IRA custodian. Like Trevor was mentioning, this is usually the route that you have to go whenever you're looking to utilize some retirement funds to invest into alternative assets. The best way to think about us, we're just the private sector version of companies like TD Ameritrade, Charles Schwab, right, Fidelity. Well, not TD Ameritrade anymore now, but with Schwab. But they allow you to take your retirement funds and put them in the public market. We allow you to take those same retirement funds in the same exact IRAs, except put them into privately held assets, specifically real estate style investments, what we specialize in.
Awesome. And obviously Quest Trust is national. While you're based in Texas, you can take care of anybody's account in any state. Yeah, we're getting a little bit of echo on you, Zach. I'm not sure. Somebody put that in the.
Is it when I'm speaking, or when it's just is y'all's coming through?
Yeah, it's when you're speaking.
All right. What about now?
That's much better, I believe.
All
Awesome.
right, good deal.
Thanks. How come we're not at the blackjack table, Josh? Thanks for letting us know. I always thought it might have just been me. Perfect. So let's ask again that you can take care of anybody's account in any state, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah. We have accounts, clients in all 50 states that hold assets in all 50 states, including, I want to say, 8 countries outside of the US. So if we've seen a lot of people purchasing property. I say a lot of people, but we've had people purchasing property in South America, some in Europe, we've had one in South Africa. So I mean, you really have freedom to invest in just about anything you would see fit. There's very little limitations when it comes to the investment strategy that you'd want to pursue.
Okay, so let's kind of start at the very beginning. Okay, I'm a new person. I've learned about investing in commercial real estate, and I want to be able to use my retirement funds. So let's assume, just to make life easy, I switch jobs, or I have some that are not held with my current employer. Can you just talk a little bit about the steps and what we would need to do to be able to start this?
Yeah, absolutely. It's actually a much simpler process than people would think. The first step would be to establish an account at Quest, and do so. You get in touch with IRA specialist, send you a link to an application, 5-10 minutes, you fill it out. We have the account established 24 to 48 hours. Now, after that, once you've got your account number, All that you're going to do is we're going to send you some delivery instructions, and then you just reach out to the administrator of that 401k. You let them know, hey, I want to roll the funds over to an IRA. And after that, one of two things is going to happen. Either A, they're going to send you a check made payable to us, in which case you just forward that check on over to us, or B, they send the check directly to us. Either way works. The only thing you need to do internally is fill out a rollover form that can be done electronically. And then that's it. Once you got that done, they're going to send the funds out. And then when we get them, you'll be able to deploy those funds as you see fit.
Perfect. And someone asked me a quick question on the side, so I just want to make sure, because sometimes we throw a lot of jargon out there. So when we are doing a syndication deal, people that put the deal on are called sponsors or general partners. They're the ones that buy the assets, sign on the debt, and then we ask people to come and invest into the property, and you're referred to as a limited partner. So you're bringing cash to the deal. And just to give you a little bit of an oversum, because someone asked me privately a couple of questions, so I want to make sure. So for example, let's just talk about our deal at Horizon. Our limited partners actually own 70% of the apartment complex, okay? They are, other than the bank, they are our largest owner of the operating structure. So when we make a dollar, 70 cents goes to our investors, and 30 cents goes to the general partners for their work to put the deal together. So if you were to invest with your retirement funds, when you receive your portion of the distributions or your portion of the sale, those get put directly into your retirement funds. One other thing too I want to clarify, Josh, that's super important is when you're switching your plans, okay, so your money is held by a custodian or some sort of third party, that money needs to directly be transferred over to their Quest account, right? The second you put your little fingers on the money, it is referred to as a taxable event. Oh, look, somebody's got a little Quest pair. I've got Quest hand lotion, but I think that's awesome. Thanks, John. So, but it's very important that people understand that they need to be able to move their money from custodian to custodian, correct? So it's not a taxable event.
Right, exactly. That's the biggest thing is that some people, it's important to understand the mechanics of really how this is working, right? A lot of people have a misconception that in order to make these investments, what I'm doing is I'm taking the funds out of my retirement vehicle, I'm making the investment, and then I'm putting the funds back in. I'm putting the proceeds back into that retirement vehicle. That's not actually what's happening, right? So whenever you're moving the funds over, they're coming over from a 401k, so one retirement vehicle over to an IRA, another retirement vehicle that's going to match its tax status. Most of the time is going to be pre-tax, right? Well, the IRA, while it is filled with your money, it is an entirely separate entity than you. It's got its own name, it's got its own address, even has its own social security number in the form of an EIN. So the IRA itself, as its own unique entity, is the one making the investments, right? So notice everything's still being contained within the IRA, and that's how you're avoiding any sort of taxation on the movement of funds.
Awesome. So we have a question, any retirement funds, and I don't even know what a 1035 is, so that's why we brought a professional on.
Yeah, so most retirement funds, it really any qualified retirement plan. So, I mean, we're talking about, obviously 401ks, but that extends to 403bs, TSPs, TRSs, defined benefit plans, uh, 457 plans. Really most, if it's a qualified retirement plan, you could probably move it over to an IRA.
Okay, so 1035 is insurance, life, and annuities. I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, so that may be describing the annuity within a retirement vehicle. It gets a little annuities aren't exactly my specialty. So that one I can't tell you for sure whether or not they'll be able to move over. But I mean, it's as simple as, if you want, you can just send a statement over to an IRA specialist like myself. We can take a look. We'll do some research. We'll let you know, hey, if we think this could be moved over, or if not.
Awesome. And then a couple of other things that happen when this is happening. So let's say you decide to make an investment. Okay. So you say, okay, wow, I had no idea. I'm going to put my investment into a particular syndication deal. Okay, which is what we normally offer. What happens is when you're filling out your paperwork, all of that paperwork is through your IRA, even though you have some personal information there. So for example, the K stands for Keith. So mine is Keith Trevor Thompson, FOB with a number, Quest Trust. That's the entity that I'm doing the investment in. And although I'm signing some documents, the real signer of the documents are your folks within the private equity folks within your group, correct?
Exactly, exactly. So like you said, the IRA, it's got its own name. So it's going to be, Quest Trust Company, FBO, your first name, your last name, IRA, your account number. That's the name of the IRA. So that's who's investing the funds. And so as the custodian over the account, right, keep in mind, IRAs are just forms of trusts, right? So Quest is the trustee of that trust. And as the trustee, so the custodian over the IRA, we're the ones who have to give the final authorizing signature. However, we will never do so. We will never do so without a read and approved signature from you first. So notice these accounts are entirely self-directed, and as such, we're just waiting for your instruction. So unless you give us a read and approved signatures, nothing's happening within that account.
And then to answer Jocelyn's question, I think if I got it correct, when we're paying out dividends or profits or whatever it is from the sale or doing the thing, they go back into their retirement account, correct? So they go tax-free into that account, unless we'll talk a little bit about UBIT in a second here, but they go back in, and they're only a taxable event when you make a withdrawal out of your IRA, correct? And
Exactly.
say, okay, I'm retiring now, I want to start pulling this cash money out. That's when it is taxable event, correct?
Exactly, exactly. Really, the only time that you as an individual are being are incurring any sort of tax obligation is when those funds are coming to you directly, like you said, in the form of a distribution out of the account.
Yeah, and that's why it's important that the flow of funds stay the same, right? So it goes from your original place where it is directly over to a custodian. And then that's why when you set the accounts up and all the bank accounts, I put Quest Trust bank account on mine, okay? And then it automatically goes in. I get a statement saying that I've had a distribution that's come into my account. My account builds up, and then if my account builds up, I'm ready to invest again. How do we liquidize an asset to be in trust? I don't know if I understand the question.
So I think what she's asking, if you hold assets within whatever retirement vehicle that your funds are currently sitting in, so let's say an example like a 401k, more than likely the 401k is going to be invested into whatever products that administrator offered. You're right; those assets need to be liquidated, and so the funds are sitting in a cash position before they're rolled over to Quest. Right, so they're going to move over to Quest in the form of cash. So once they get here, then we can send those funds out to whatever investment you see fit. And so, yeah, I guess I think that's where we're going with that question.
Awesome, thank you. And if we didn't answer your question, please just ask a clarifying question. So let's talk.
Yeah, and then
little.
Also to circle back to Cheryl's, and thank you, John, for clarifying. So when she was mentioning like a 1031, right? So generally speaking, the use of a 1031 is just to defer taxation until later. All right, keep in mind by the very nature of these accounts, how they're structured, those funds are already growing tax deferred and in some cases tax free, right? So it kind of negates the need for that 1031. So those funds are coming back already without being taxed, which means you're not limited on, the value of the next investment, the asset class of the next investment, or the timeline of your next investment.
Awesome, Vincent, that's a great question here. So when you get dividends paid into your account, so for example, if you have a self-directed that you're able to add contributions to, your earnings do not account against any allowable contributions, correct?
That's absolutely correct. There's no limit on the earnings within the account. So whenever we're talking about contributions and the contribution limit, those are the funds that are coming over directly from your pocket, right? Your own checking or savings account that aren't coming from any other retirement vehicle or any investments within a retirement vehicle.
Awesome. So let's talk a little bit about UBIT. It's describe what what it means. And it's kind of this big scary thing that's not all that scary. But I'd like you to describe a little bit about it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So whenever we're looking at UBIT, UBIT is a taxation that applies to an otherwise tax exempt entity, right? So IRAs are one form of entity that can incur UBIT, but also churches can incur UBIT. Like best example is when a church has like a coffee shop in there, right? Well, that coffee shop is selling products that are unrelated to what the main business of the church is, and so because of that, they're going to be sure that they're not getting sort of too special of a tax treatment on those. And so the funds from that unrelated business are going to be hit with a tax, otherwise known as an unrelated business income tax, right? So that's what UBIT is as a whole. Now, how does it apply to IRAs? Well, most of the time, whenever we're looking at UBIT within an IRA, it is triggered by something called UDFI. That is unrelated debt financed income. All it means that the IRA has invested into a debt leveraged investment. Very common, right? So it's not something to be super scared about, just something to be aware of, right? You want to be aware that it's there. So for example, let's talk specifically within multifamily. Let's say over a 5-year deal, you've made $100,000 investment. And just for ease of numbers, you made $50,000 profit, right? So let's say it's a 5-year deal, and every year you're going to get those K1s, right? Well, on the first 3 years, let's say you get those negative K1s, right? That forced depreciation shown on that K1 value. Well, if you're a real estate investor, a full-time real estate investor, and you were doing that personally in your own name, well, you'd be able to claim that depreciation against your own income, right? But keep in mind, the IRA itself doesn't have any taxable income. So there's nothing to claim those deductions against. That's perfectly fine. You just hold on to those K1s, right? So you get the negative K1s first 3 years. Let's say the 4th year, it's negligible or you break even. And the 5th year is when you get your full return, right? So you made $50,000 profit on that deal. Well, in this example, let's just say that the sponsor had 70% of the funds from an institution alone. So they were debt leveraged 70%. Well, that means for the IRA that of that $50,000 profit, 70% of it is going to be considered taxable. It's not a 70% tax, 70% of it is taxable. So of the 50,000, 35,000 of it is taxable, right? Well, now we've got the IRA introduced to taxable income. Now that we've got taxable income, we can take the forced depreciation that we had in those first couple of years and apply it towards the taxable income to knock it down as much as we possibly can. All right, that's why even though I'd say probably 95% of syndication investments incur UDFI on the IRA, it's still one of the most common investments we see here at Quest because a lot of time you can knock down that tax burden to a negligible amount. All right. And so, for example, let's just say, just for ease of numbers again, it averaged 10,000 a year for that forced depreciation. That's 30,000 years of deductions on $35,000 taxable income. That means at the end of it, 5,000 of it's taxable. You're paying tax on 5,000, and keep in mind that's not a tax owed by you as an individual. That's a tax owed by the IRA as its own entity. Right. So the IRA is paying the taxes, not you. So don't worry about you having to reach into your own pocket. It's only going to be applied on the portion of the investment that's debt leveraged, and that is only being applied as well to the profits made, not the overall principal investment that you had.
That's an awesome explanation. Thank you. And for those of you that have been on our accounting calls where we have different things for accounting calls, Bill always says it's not how much money you make, it's how much money you keep. So this is still a great way to be able to reduce and be able to earn your income and then keep more of your income when you want to pull it out. So we got another questionnaire popped up if you get a chance to pull it out. Now, come on, I'm asking all the questions, folks, so that we've had a couple
So
of good ones. Let's get some.
I
good
had
questions.
one, I guess I had some thoughts and questions and other things maybe that goes with that. And hope sorry to interrupt everyone with the survey. Just we're trying to see how we can be of more service to everyone in the community and gaining kind of understanding knowledge of what people are looking for as well. So appreciate any input into the polls, the surveys, so we can improve what we do as well. And I some other area I don't, not sure actually, Cheryl talking the 1031, 1035 or whatever that was. And I know what 1031 is, but there's also like, during during retirement, some people may not think of this, but when you're in retirement, going to retirement, you can, besides your 401k, if you have a lump sum, a pension, you can roll your pension into a 401k as well, and use it for investments. So there's a lot of other things and avenues that are out there that a lot of times we kind of get stuck in, especially us that are a little bit older. We may have started with the mindset of like how you work through and you get a pension and use that pension to pay over time. But there's the option of taking that as a lump sum and then use it how you want, but you can invest a piece of that or invest as much of it as you want for the rest of your future, and build up just a strong passive income as that goes as well. So there is a lot of other cool things that can be done with that. I don't know, Zach, you guys deal with that? Any of people like doing their pension or any other kind of unique things that people don't maybe think of sometimes?
Yeah. So one of my favorite strategies is something that I'm now going for, right? That I'm setting my own future retirement plans around it. Was one of my clients. He's currently 67. He's 67 right now. And he stopped doing any investments personally. So he's not doing any investments personally at all. And I'd asked him why, just because I usually like to kind of talk to my clients about what their strategies are. And he said, well, you realize around the time when he started getting a lot in his 401k and he had time to, just rolling it over to his IRA, is that he thought, well, I know the Roth is growing tax free, and that's kind of the advantage it has over the traditional IRA. And so what I wanted to do is that I wanted to, over time, move a little bit at a time over to my Roth. So I'm doing a Roth conversion from my traditional over to my Roth IRA. Right. And so he did this starting around, like I said, around well before retirement age, I guess is what I'm saying. And so what he does now is that because he's had the Roth IRA open and funded for 5 years and he's over the age of 59 and a half, that means he qualifies for fully qualified distributions out of that Roth. So tax and penalty free. He's got enough in there that the deals he's cash flowing from, he's taking distributions of that cash flow personally on a monthly basis. He has a recurring distribution coming out. That's the money he lives off of. It's tax and penalty free income for the entirety of his life that he's not having to pay Uncle Sam a dime of. And I thought that the strategy was it was so simple, right, in its concept, but it's something that I had never thought of just really putting everything into that Roth and beefing that Roth up enough to where I can just simply utilize the cash flow and really not need any sort of taxable income.
And without having to go to the extra efforts of creating or making yourself as a active investor, getting tax benefits, trying to become a real, a lot of us are, qualify as real estate professional and go for tax savings as a different direction. But there's cool options out there to do that passively as well.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
And there's got to be some good news for us old guys.
Right. Yeah. So really the biggest thing, if the goal is, the Roth, I always say you want to start as early as possible, right? You want that 5-year clock starting. And I guess I'll kind of expand on that for those of you who don't know, whenever we're looking at a Roth IRA, distributions out of a Roth are going to be treated a little bit different than distributions out of a traditional IRA. Right. Traditional IRA, it's all sitting as pre-tax funds. And so whenever they're distributed, you're either under the age of 59 and a half, in which you're paying income tax and a T, you're over the age of 59 and a half, which you're just paying income tax on the distribution. Well, in a Roth, keep in mind, Roth are post-tax accounts, right? So because it's post-tax, you've got the portion you've contributed to it. That's what's going to come out first. That's coming out tax and penalty free, no matter how long you've had it open or how old you are. Then you've got the portion of it that's conversions, right? These are the funds that have been converted over from your traditional IRA. Well, they're never going to be taxed because you pay taxes on the conversion, but they could be penalized if you take them under the age of 59 and a half, or you don't let them wait for 5 years. And then finally, you have the earnings. Right now, the earnings are funds that have grown within the Roth that taxation has never touched. Uncle Sam has never touched those funds. So they're going to be treated a little bit differently, right? So normally, if you are pulling these funds out early, right, before that before that 5 years has run out, then you could be taxed on that money as if it were being taken from a traditional IRA. Right? By waiting for the 5 years and waiting till you're over 59 and a half, even those earnings that taxation has never touched are going to come out tax and penalty free, right? That's one of the few times you truly get an entirely tax-free growth, even to yourself when it's coming to you personally, by waiting for those 5 years, 59 and a half. So I always say, start that 5-year clock. You can fund a Roth with $10. You fund it with $10, you're done. Especially right now, you still have the ability to fund for 2023. And so that means that 5-year clock will have technically started January 1st, 2023. So you get a free year. So it's just something that seems like, why not start that clock, knock it out? Because even if you close the Roth IRA and open up another one a year later over at a different custodian, that 5-year clock still started the time you first funded your first IRA. It doesn't reset.
Awesome. Any other questions, folks? Our goal is to get you some good advice here, help you get on your financial freedom journey.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know, the goal is, I mean, we're giving the advice is coming in, the advice is coming through. We got some good advice. I think the goal to me, Trevor, is like supporting everybody to become, you know, active and actionable and take a look at different steps, different direction with their investment opportunities. So and anything we can do to help you with that through the learning, the education, the support processes is awesome. So
Awesome. John's got his hand up there.
all right, yeah, and anyone else, raise your hand and we'll pull you on up. Come on up, John.
Oh, hi, everybody. Thanks, Zach, for sharing on here. I have a question regarding UBIT, and if there's no debt in a real estate transaction, but you have a managing investor partner, is there some risk that because they're active management role with the Roth money, for example, that could trigger either short-term, long-term gain or the UBIT tax?
So no, whenever we're looking outside of, if there's no debt at all involved anywhere in the deal, so that automatically knocks out UDFI, right? There's not going to be any sort of UDFI at all. Now, the next thing we're looking at is there's 2 other ways UBIT can be incurred, and one of them is going to be owning personal property, and then the second one's going to be running a business, right? So whenever we're owning personal property, that won't apply here either, because that's usually we're talking about mobile homes is an example of how UBIT in a personal property if it's not attached to the real estate. Sometimes, I have a client that also he used to be the hospital administrator, and so what he does in his IRA is he purchases medical equipment in it and then leases it to hospitals. That's personal property. He gets hit with UBIT on those. The one that we're talking about, really going to be focusing on here, is going to be running a business. So that is really going to depend on the underlying investment that is being pursued here, right? The building development, so the acquisition of land, development of property, and then sale of that property after is not going to usually fall into that running a business, especially because the IRA isn't having an active part in that. The IRA itself is a limited partner. It's got a passive role here, right? So usually, I mean, I'm sure you can make some sort of argument for it. But at all my time at Quest, I've been with Quest for over 5 years now. I've never seen it. If there was no debt involved in the multifamily deal, then no UBIT was ever incurred.
Okay, thanks for covering that.
Awesome. So
Absolutely.
And
Jean has a
then
question, transfer her IRA to Quest. Is there a time frame to roll it into Roth? Like when and what can you do with, how can you switch it from, I guess, taxable or to a Roth?
Yeah, so it's very easy. There's no sort of time limit on when you have to do it by. It's really whenever you're looking at the timing, you're just looking, okay, when are the taxes going to be due? So for example, if I had done the Roth conversion on December 28th of 2023, well, now that's going to be included in my taxes for 2023, so I have to pay them by tax filing 2024. Whereas if you do it now, you're getting you have to fill or pay the taxes until tax filing 2025, right? So you get a little bit more time. That's really the only timing thing you want to be looking at. To actually convert the funds is very simple. You fill out a Roth conversion form. I want to say it's 2 pages. You let us know, how much you want to move over to the Roth IRA, and then from there we send the funds over at no cost. It's that easy. Now, I will say, keep in mind is that one, you always want to talk to a tax professional when doing it because that is a taxable event. Obviously, going from pre-tax to post-tax means whatever amount that you're converting over, that amount's getting added to your adjusted gross income for that year. So if you're right on the cusp of a new bracket, maybe it's not the right time, right? That's why you want to talk to that tax professional. And then I'm trying to think of what other aspects would be good to discuss. Yeah, I mean, that's really it. The other thing to consider is that post Secure Act in 2018, you are no longer able to reverse a Roth conversion. So you cannot recharacterize Roth conversions. That means once you convert it, there's no going back. So be sure you're ready to make that decision, because once you do, it's not reversible.
Perfect, thank you. And there was a question here, if they personally fund a solo 401k from savings account, how soon can I use that to invest in a deal?
So if you're going for a solo 401k, if you have a solo 401k, that means you are probably acting as the trustee. You're one of the owners for to qualify for that solo 401k, which means as soon as the funds get in there, you're ready to deploy. There's no sort of timeline as far as, they don't need to mature in the account. You don't need to be fully vested into anything. As soon as the funds are in there, they're available to be sent out. It's just going to be a matter of making sure you report everything correctly, right? That's, on the 5500 or the 5500 EZ, depending upon the value of the 401k, that you're reporting the contribution was made. That's the major thing. Once the funds are in there, like I said, you can use them as you see fit.
Awesome, thank you. So officially we're at the top of the hour. So we normally try to be respectful for people's time. We don't leave, but I like to say that we're at the official top of the hour. I really want to thank Zach for coming. If you want, put your contact info into the chat.
Yeah.
We keep you guys busy, and you've got a great team over there. We have some folks on our team, mostly Maria, who I call our resident expert. So she helps everybody get their paperwork done correctly. The one thing that's very important is that the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed on every document, because you're a custodian, so you double check and verify everything. But it's a super powerful way to invest. So kind of last call for any questions. If you have it, it doesn't mean we're going. It just means after 7 o'clock, we open it up to anything goes.
So I included. Thank you guys for having me so much. I always appreciate when you guys bring me out here. I always like kind of sharing these messages. Just because people, I feel like, as much as we talk about it, it's not something that you really know about, or so that you hear about very often. And so thank you guys for having me out. I went ahead and posted my phone number with my extension as well as my email. And if ever I'm out of town, you can always send, because I travel for a Quest. You can always send an email to the second email I sent in there, which is a IRA specialist at questtrust.com. And that's going to take you to the IRA specialist team.
Yeah, and it's great. And once you have an account with them, they have a pop-up window for chat and questions. I use the chat several times. So one more question here. Roll over an old 401 and the need to make the minimum. Are there any watchouts? So I'll answer that a little bit. So we have some of our investors, and they'll have $35,000 in their IRA. Our minimum is 50, and they'll just do a second investment for 15 in cash. That is something that is very doable. And also, our goal is to help you. So if for some reason you don't reach our minimum investments, our goal is to help you get on your journey. So make sure you talk with us, because we want to help you get there. And if you're a few thousand short, we don't want to say sorry, you can't get there. So but several of our clients make two investments, one on a personal or through an LLC, and then another one through their self-directed funds.
Yeah, and that's huge because not all sponsors will allow that. So definitely guys take advantage of that because obviously, if the IRA's funds are a little bit short, you can add funds in, you can make your contributions, but you're limited as to how much you can contribute. So for example, if it was a $50,000 minimum and you only had 25,000 in your account, well, you can make your $7,000 contribution for 2024 if you're under the age of 50. If you're over, it goes up to 8,000. So let's say if you're over 50, that puts you at what, 33,000. And so you'd still come up short, but the fact that massive capital allows you to supplement that with an investment for your own personal funds is huge. That way you still have access to that investment that your IRA wouldn't be able to get into alone. And alternatively, if you personally don't have the funds, your IRA can partner, right? Your IRA can partner through different entity structures. It depends on how you want to go about it. But that is a possibility as well, is that your IRA partners with either another IRA or another individual, whether that be through an intermediary entity or directly into massive capital. That'd be something for you guys to determine at that time. But you have options there to have access to these investments.
Awesome. Mike, any final questions before we roll into anything goes after 7?
No, I don't. No, I don't think so. I wanted to apologize as well, Zach. We should have put your info in there a little bit earlier in the discussion, but thank you and yourself, Fernando, some of the guys over there. Great support, help for us, and makes life as well better, easier for us and our investors. The more we can, make the process easy for everyone. It makes life easier and smoother and everything else. So really appreciate everything you guys do there. Look forward to, and as everyone else said, look forward to some of the events you guys do and as well, and being there for those. So thanks again for joining us. And
Yeah.
I've done some of that. I think I've done a little bit of everything between the combination of the Roth, the 401k solo, putting my pension into this solo 401k, rolling some of that into other things. I had an old 401k, rolled that into the Quest IRA at one time. So been through a lot of different scenarios there, and most all of it was with Quest. I did the solo 401k through Charles Schwab, but and then was able to move back and forth between Quest fairly easily after that was set up also.
Yeah. That's kind of our entire goal. We want to really demystify the process of investing with a self-directed IRA. So if you realize it's pretty simple. We work very quickly just because being in the real estate space, these windows sometimes they close very quickly. So we want to be sure that we're not the ones holding up the deal.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
yeah, we really appreciate you guys.
Question the difference between a Quest IRA and a solo 401k. I'm not. Yeah.
That's perfect for Zach.
No. Yeah, I was about to say I'll explain on that one. So really, whenever we're looking at the difference between the two accounts, the key difference is the IRA and the 401k. So it's not necessarily the custodian, right? There's no difference between a Quest IRA or a Fidelity IRA. But whenever we're looking at an IRA, it is going to be an individual account, right? So it's not tied to any sort of employer. You have complete freedom, whether that account is at Quest or at Fidelity, to direct the funds within that account. You are capped out at contribution limits that are split both between a traditional and a Roth, cumulative. And usually you have a smaller contribution limit. Like I said, for 2024, 7,000. If you're over 50, that bumps up to 8,000. Now, the solo 401k, a solo 401k is the same thing as a traditional 401k, except it's designed for owners only, right? One of the things you'll hear with a solo 401k is that is an owner only or an individual 401k. And so what that means is that it is only for businesses that have no full-time employees, right? So it's just the owners participating in it. The reason some people will go this route is the higher contribution limits. So you get way more to put in. It's capped out. If you want to max out the contributions, obviously you got to meet some qualifications, but you can go upwards of 66,000. I think 2024 is 69,000 within a single year. And also you have a little bit more freedom, right? With with an IRA, you're going through a custodian because we're the trustee over the IRA. Whereas in the 401k, the solo 401k, you can be the trustee. So you can direct those funds and you can go to private investments, public investments, really whatever you see fit. So that's the big difference, right? The solo 401k, the 401k is tied to an employer. So it's got to have both employer and employee contributions. IRA, just an individual.
Yeah, it was interesting. The other day, I was talking to a gentleman who wanted to invest, and he said, well, I have self-directed. And I said, well, just ask them if you, and their answer was, no, we can't do that. And I hooked him up with Zach, and like in 24 hours, he can do that. And
Yeah.
so again, very important, right? You want to make sure you can do so many more things than other people's rules allow you to do. And you want to be able to control your own destiny, manage your own funds, make the decisions where they go. And if you've made the decision that real estate is where you would like your funds to go, and if your current custodian won't, that is not self-directed. That is control directed, let's say. So,
Yeah, then exactly. The IRA can make almost, and this is any IRA, right? Any IRA across the country can make almost any investment that you can make as an individual, right? There's a couple of restrictions. But I mean, private money lending out of an IRA, syndication investments, real estate, direct purchase of real estate, precious metals, right? All of that can be done within a self-directed, within an IRA. The only thing stopping it is the custodian. So if a custodian's telling you that you can't do that within an IRA, what they're talking about is that they, as a custodian, do not handle those types of investments, which is fine, right? Fidelity doesn't handle private investments. Quest doesn't handle public investments. We each have our role in your portfolio, but just know that it's possible to do. Just have to have the right custodian.
Awesome. Well, this has been great. Thank you very much. And again, if you've enjoyed tonight, please invite a friend. I know Josh invited Randy, and now they're sitting side by side on my screen there. So they're joining me in the Bald Man's Club. So, but yeah, our goal here is to provide value, and that's our goal. And I started real estate investing, and I didn't know half of these things that I could do at the beginning. Had no idea. And so I like to make sure that we offer topics so you know what you're doing. I mean, if you want to control your own financial future, you need to know what is possible.